Today we start Unit 5, which is all about functions. So it's taking graphs and understanding what is being graphed. So regular has 4 lessons and then a mini lesson, and honors you have 2 additional lessons that you'll be working on. The first lesson we're going to do is 5.1, which is on functions. So looking at something and telling if it is a function. So in order for a relation or a representation, in other words, to be a function, each input, so each x value, can only have one value assigned to it as an output. So we are looking for each x value has only one y value. Our y values can repeat, but our x values should not repeat. This tells me that every time I put 0 in, a 7 comes out. Every time I put 2 in, a 10 comes out. Every time I put 4 in, a 10 comes out. So it's okay because every time I push 2, if you went to a vending machine and pushed the number 2, it's telling you 10 would come out every single time. You could also push 4 and get 10 out every single time. All that means is that maybe that was a popular item and that's why it needed 2 spots in the vending machine instead of just 1. Our problem here is we pushed 0, we got out a 7. Perfect. Every time we push 0, we got out a 7. Every time we push 2, we should get out a 10. So here's where our problem lies. One time we pushed 2, we got out 10. The next time we push 2, we should get out 10, but you can see we get out 12. So this is our problem right here. My x value has 2 different outcomes. So if I push this same input, I should get the same output, but there's 2 different outputs. That is when they give it to you in table form. When they give you into ordered pairs, now I've put these nice and neat and I put your x's here and your y's here so it's easy to look at. They won't always do that. They'll put it horizontal, so across, not up and down. But you're still looking, do our x values have only one y value paired with it? This x value is 1. You'll notice I have no other ones here. So every time I pushed 1, I got out 4. So far, so good. This says I pushed 2. Do I have any other 2s here? No. So that means every time I push 2, I got out 6. Every time I push 3, I got out 8. Every time I push 4, I got out 10. Again, here lies the problem is right here. The reason this isn't a function is I pushed 3, and the first time I pushed 3, I got out an 8. So I go to push 3 again. If my machine is working properly, or if my function is working properly, I should get out 8 again. But this time it spit out a different number. So that's the problem. And that's why it's not a function. You cannot have the same x value attached to 2 different y values. With a mapping diagram, this shows me that I pushed a 1. The only thing that this is pointing to is a 6. I pushed a 2. The only thing this is pointing to is 7. I pushed a 3. The only thing that's pointing to is 8. I pushed a 4. The only thing that is pointing to is an 8. Again, it's okay if they're pointing to the same y value. It just means it's a popular item if you're looking at like a vending machine. But it's not okay if I push 3 one time and got 8, and then I push 3 the next time and got 7. I should get the same thing each time. So each x value has, you'll notice all of these only have one arrow coming away from it. This one here says, I push 2, and I would either get out a 2 or I'd get out a 3. That is not a function. Something malfunctioned here where you had 2 different outcomes for the one number. So this is x values has only one arrow attached to it. Our graphs, so it says the vertical line test, this is one of your vocabulary words. So a vertical line test is used to tell if the graphed object is or is not a function. So you draw a vertical line, and we're looking to see if that vertical line crosses the graphed object. It could only cross it or have one point of contact. So first thing that we need to do is figure out what is actually graphed here. This is the only thing that's graphed in pink. So a vertical line test says you could draw a line. Again, I'm not looking at my y-axis or my x-axis. I'm only looking at this graphed picture here, which I've done in pink. If I were to draw a vertical line up and down, how many points of contact does my blue line have with my pink? And hopefully you can see it's only one. No matter where I draw that, it only has 1 point of contact per line. So 1 point of contact per line. Now on this one, you could see here, this one, whoops, I didn't draw it very good. Here's my graphed object, and now I'm going to draw my vertical line. When I draw this vertical line, I have a point of contact here and a point of contact here. So, more than 1 point of contact So more than 1 point of contact per line. So like this one has 2 points of contact. It contacted the pink here, and that same line had it here. That means that this x value, whatever this x value is on the line here, had a positive outcome and a negative outcome. We should only have one outcome for each x value. X values can't have two different outcomes. And then the last one is the equations. So I'm going to draw you what the picture would look like for the equation. And you would use your vertical line test to see that these are functions or that it passes the vertical line test. But I'm going to show you what the picture would look like in it. So we've graphed these multiple times this year. This tells me to start at 5 and go up 3 and over 1, up 3 and over 1. So this picture would look something like this. If we were to draw a vertical line, I'm only going to have 1 point of contact. So this one would be a function. If I were to draw this one is going to look something like this. So it's going to be like a U shape. And you're going to, again, if you were to draw a line from here to here, it's only still, again, I'm not worrying about if it crosses my X and Y axis. I'm looking at the picture or the object that was graphed. How many times, if I draw a vertical line, would it come in contact with my blue graphed object right here? And the answer is 1 time. So that's why this one is a function. This last one says y equals 6. Well, if this is 0, 0, where y is 6 would be like this. It's going to be a straight line just like this. And again, if I were to draw a vertical line, it's only going to cross this blue line right here 1 time. So that's why all 3 of these are functions. This one is a problem right here because this, you'll notice when we had x squared, it made like a U shape. When we have a y that's squared, I actually think this one will go like this. It's going to take on a C or like the, what's that called? Mirror image or reflection of a C. So when we draw our vertical line here, we have 2 points of contact. Bam, bam. It crosses it twice, which makes it not a function. And then our last one, this one is the hardest one for you to see because this says x is -3. That means that it goes like this. So if I'm looking, I'm going to do this in a different color. I want to know if I were to draw a vertical line, how many points of contact do I have? Well, here's one right from the beginning. If I keep tracing this, it has every single point of contact. So that means that it's infinite. It has multiple. And so that is our problem. So 2 things can't happen. If it's an equation, your y value cannot be squared. So if your y value is squared, it won't be a function. Or if it starts out as x equals, it will also not be a function. So those are the different representations or relations you will have, and you'll have to be able to look at each one of those and tell whether or not it's going to form a function.